Have you ever wondered what would happen if you stopped eating sugar for just 2 weeks? Not forever. Not for a year. Just 14 days. Most people expect one simple answer. They think they'll lose a little weight, maybe feel less guilty about dessert, and that's the end of the story. But your body has a completely different plan. Within hours of cutting out added sugar, your hormones begin shifting. Your liver starts changing the way it produces energy. Your brain reacts to the sudden disappearance of its favorite quick fuel. Even the trillions of bacteria living inside your gut begin fighting over what little sugar remains. The first few days can feel surprisingly difficult. You may crave sweets more than ever. You might feel tired, irritable, or even develop headaches. Many people assume this means their body needs sugar. In reality, it's often a sign that your metabolism is learning to operate differently. By the end of 2 weeks, many of these temporary changes begin giving way to something much more interesting. Your appetite starts becoming easier to control, your energy becomes more stable, and your body begins relying less on constant sugar spikes to get through the day. Today, we're walking through exactly what happens inside your body during those 14 days, separating science from myth so you know what changes are actually supported by research. And if you enjoy learning how your body really works, make sure to subscribe. Every week, we uncover fascinating health and nutrition science that can help you make smarter decisions for your long-term health. Let's begin with Day 1. The moment you stop eating added sugar, your body doesn't suddenly run out of energy. That's one of the biggest misconceptions. Your bloodstream still contains glucose, and your liver has stored carbohydrates called glycogen waiting to be used. Think of glycogen like the battery pack on your phone. Even after you unplug the charger, your phone keeps working because it has stored energy. Your body works the same way. For the first day, you continue using these stored reserves while your hormones begin adjusting to the new eating pattern. One of the biggest changes involves insulin. Every sugary snack causes insulin to rise so glucose can move from your bloodstream into your cells. When added sugar disappears, insulin spikes become smaller and less frequent. That gives your body more opportunities to use stored energy instead of constantly depending on incoming sugar. Then something unexpected begins happening inside your brain. Sugar activates parts of the brain associated with pleasure and reward. That's one reason sweet foods can be so tempting. When those foods suddenly disappear, your brain notices. During the first 2 or 3 days, many people experience powerful cravings. You may find yourself thinking about desserts even when you're not physically hungry. This isn't because your body requires candy to survive. It's because your brain has become accustomed to expecting quick rewards. Imagine taking away someone's favorite shortcut home. The destination hasn't changed, but the brain keeps trying to follow the old route. Eventually, it learns a new path. The same thing happens with sugar cravings. By days 3 to 5, another important shift begins. Your blood sugar starts becoming more stable throughout the day. Instead of rising sharply after sugary foods and crashing a few hours later, energy levels often become more consistent. Many people notice fewer afternoon slumps and less urgency to snack between meals. Your pancreas also gets a break. Instead of producing repeated bursts of insulin throughout the day, it can respond more gradually to balanced meals containing protein, healthy fats, and fiber. Now let's talk about your liver. Your liver is responsible for processing much of the fructose found in table sugar and many sweetened drinks. Unlike glucose, which can be used by nearly every cell in your body, fructose is handled primarily by the liver. When large amounts arrive day after day, the liver has to work much harder to process them. Removing added sugar reduces that workload, allowing your liver to focus on its many other essential functions, including regulating metabolism and storing nutrients. Around the same time, something fascinating begins happening inside your gut. Trillions of bacteria live in your digestive system. Some thrive on diets rich in refined sugar, while others prefer the fiber found in vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains. When added sugar disappears, the balance of food available to these microbes changes. Over time, this may encourage a healthier and more diverse gut environment, although everyone's microbiome responds differently. But perhaps the most surprising transformation hasn't happened yet. Because somewhere between the end of the first week and the beginning of the second, many people notice that foods they once considered bland suddenly taste sweeter than before. Fruit becomes more flavorful. Nuts taste richer. Even vegetables begin revealing subtle natural sweetness that was previously hidden beneath constant sugar exposure. Why does this happen? And what remarkable changes continue during the second week, including fat metabolism, inflammation, and your sense of hunger? That's where the most fascinating part of the story begins. As you enter the second week without added sugar, your body begins doing something it couldn't do efficiently before. It starts trusting its own energy reserves. Think of your metabolism like a hybrid car. When sugar is constantly arriving, the engine keeps running on the easiest fuel available. There's no reason to switch to the backup system. But after several days of fewer sugar spikes, your body becomes more metabolically flexible. Instead of constantly depending on incoming glucose, it becomes better at using stored glycogen and, when needed, body fat to help meet your energy demands. This doesn't mean you're suddenly burning massive amounts of fat overnight. But your body is becoming more efficient at accessing the fuel it already has. Another noticeable change involves your appetite. Have you ever eaten a sugary breakfast, only to feel hungry again a couple of hours later? That's often the result of rapidly changing blood sugar levels. When your meals contain more protein, healthy fats, and fiber instead of large amounts of added sugar, digestion slows down. Energy enters your bloodstream more gradually. Instead of riding a roller coaster of spikes and crashes, your body experiences a steadier flow of fuel. Many people discover they're thinking about food less often. Not because they're forcing themselves to ignore hunger, but because their hunger signals become more predictable. Your hormones begin communicating more effectively. One hormone tells your brain you've had enough to eat. Another tells you it's time for your next meal. When those signals aren't constantly interrupted by frequent sugar highs and lows, your body can regulate appetite much more naturally. Then there's inflammation. Inflammation itself isn't the enemy. Your immune system uses it to fight infections and repair injuries. The problem occurs when inflammation remains unnecessarily elevated for long periods. Diets high in added sugar have been associated with increased markers of chronic inflammation in many people. Reducing added sugar, while replacing it with nutrient-dense whole foods, may help support a healthier inflammatory balance over time. Your skin may begin changing too. One reason involves a process called glycation. Imagine spilling syrup onto a machine. Over time, everything becomes sticky and doesn't function as smoothly. Inside your body, excess sugar can attach to proteins such as collagen through a similar process. Scientists call these compounds advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. Over many years, they may contribute to the visible signs of skin aging by affecting collagen and elasticity. Reducing excessive sugar intake may help slow this process, especially when combined with an overall healthy lifestyle. Your brain notices the difference as well. Instead of experiencing repeated energy crashes after sugary meals, many people report feeling mentally steadier. Concentration becomes easier. Afternoon brain fog becomes less common. This isn't because sugar is inherently bad. Your brain still relies on glucose. The difference is that your body becomes better at supplying glucose in a controlled, consistent way rather than depending on frequent sugar hits throughout the day. Perhaps one of the biggest victories happens psychologically. At the beginning of this journey, cravings often felt overwhelming. By the end of 2 weeks, many people notice those cravings becoming quieter. Not necessarily disappearing completely, but losing much of the control they once had. That slice of cake sitting on the table no longer feels impossible to resist. Your brain has learned that it doesn't need constant sweetness to feel satisfied. But here's where many people make a mistake. They believe avoiding sugar means avoiding every carbohydrate. That's simply not true. Your body can still obtain carbohydrates from nutritious foods like fruits, vegetables, legumes, and whole grains, all of which provide fiber, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that support overall health. The real goal isn't eliminating every gram of carbohydrate. It's reducing added sugars while building meals around whole, nutrient-dense foods. Because no single food determines your health. Your daily habits do. 2 weeks without added sugar won't completely transform your life. But it can become the beginning of something much bigger. Your energy becomes steadier. Your appetite becomes easier to manage. Your liver gets a break from processing excessive fructose. Your taste buds begin appreciating natural sweetness again. And perhaps most importantly, you prove to yourself that you, not your cravings, are in control of your choices. The next time you reach for something sweet, pause for a moment and ask yourself one simple question. Am I feeding a habit? Or am I feeding my body? Because sometimes, the most powerful transformation doesn't begin with adding another supplement or following another diet. Sometimes, it begins by removing one ingredient that's been controlling you all along.